Welcome to Cardone Debates, hosted by me, Dana Howell. It's Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. We have some new guests today. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and reshare. We're trying to get some really cool guests up and good topics. So make sure to do that. Anyway, joining me, as always, Gary Cardone. Welcome. Gary, you're muted. Are you worried that you're going to scare everyone off? So you muted yourself?
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. July the 29th. 2 more days to July, Dana. Are you excited about August coming around?
I'm really excited.
Oh, I know you are. I can see August laughter on your face right now.
Well, thank you, Gary. Gary,
Dana.
do you think everyone, yeah.
You said Gary, I said Dana.
Gary's going to be joined by Eric Rice today. Eric is going to be on Gary's team.
Eric Rice.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Come on up here, Eric. Introduce yourself. Where can people find you?
So I'm Eric Rice. You can easily find me on X at EA_Rice and the Rice Report on YouTube, Rumble, iHeart, Spotify, all that kind of stuff out there as well. I'm excited here, Gary. We got to defend the youth, man.
Let's bring it, dude. Hey, Dana, why is he on more platforms than I'm on, Dana? I thought you were handling me. I thought you were taking care of me, but he listed like 17 other platforms than I'm on. I mean, am I going to be left in obscurity? No one knows who I am?
I'm not going to leave you behind, Gary.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I was getting nervous.
No, I think you need to have more faith in me than that. Okay, Gary, Eric, you guys are up against Dustin. Dustin, as always, come up. Dustin is on the no kids under 40 side. Welcome.
Wow. Thank you for having me.
Dustin, was that a muscle you were trying to pump? Because I don't think the audience actually saw it so small.
Do it again.
Yeah. No, I think the issue, Gary, is wait, what side am I on again? I'm taking.
You're on the no kids under 40.
Oh, it ruined my make fun of Gary joke. It would have been like anti. Now I've got to rethink it.
Everybody's always making fun of me, Dana. I'm a victim.
Oh, really?
My whole life. My whole life.
Guy.
People picking on me, being racist.
Well, it's a good thing you never pick on anybody else, though.
I'm a peace-loving human being.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the way my parents taught me.
I love aliens, Gary. You know that.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So Dustin is pairing up with Hodel J. Jay, come up on the stage. Introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. I'm Hodel J. I'm here to help Dustin smack down these two.
Eye of the tiger.
Guns, maybe.
Oh,
guns.
Oh, wow. Guns.
Everyone's very intimidated right now.
Those are 22 calibers, bro.
Is there water in those things? What do you got? What's in there?
Well, it's all creatine.
Creatine? Are you injecting?
How much creatine do you take a day?
I don't take any. I just can't open Instagram without everyone telling me I should be taking it.
It's hilarious, man.
So, again, we have the teams no kids under 40, Dustin and Jay, against kids under 40, Gary and Eric Rice. The rules are you'll each get 2 minutes. One side gets 2 minutes to make their opening point. The other side then makes their opening point. Then the next side will make a 1 minute follow-up. And then the other side will do a 1 minute follow-up. So who would like to take the side first?
I guess I could lead us out.
I think, could I suggest that I think everyone should identify whether they have children and what their position is. I don't think the audience understands when we do these, we don't pick whose side we're on. Okay. So we're assigned a side, and that's every great debater should be able to take both positions. This debate is intended to get people thinking. It's not for us to tell you what's right or what you should think. It's literally, hey, let's just cover the bases, have a debate where we're not screaming at each other, making each other wrong. And you can decide how you live your own life. Anyway, just thought that was a good public service announcement.
Yeah, so I'll start. So I am in my 40s. I've got a long-term girlfriend of 9 years, but we don't have kids. We're doing the DINK, dual income, no kids. And that's my status. It's not that I'm against kids, but for me, it hasn't been my decision.
I'm also in my 40s, the proud father of 4 teenagers. So I had 4 kids in my early 20s.
Also in my 40s, 2
they're the
kids.
best.
I agree.
They would stomp your kids. They would stomp them.
No,
Trained for domination.
So, Eric, you're in your 40s and you've had kids before your 40s?
Before my 40s, both of them, yeah. So I'm 48 and I have a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old, and my 16-year-old will definitely stomp yours.
My 12-year-old is taller than I am. He's like 6'3" already.
Mine too, and he's undefeated in the ring. He's got a little handle on things.
Let's give these kids some TRT and put them in a.
Okay, let's go, Dana. Let's go. Who's going to start? You guys want to
Dustin.
represent the side, or you want the traditionalists to start?
We'll let you go first if you want.
Oh,
Like,
by the way, I did think it was funny that we didn't have a woman up here. Dana, I actually thought you were going to take the position of under 40s and I was going to moderate, but I'm just seeing in the audience, people are going, hey, why don't you guys have women? We would love to have more women involved, guys. Like, nobody comes to these spaces that are female. So you're
We actually
welcome
do
to
have
come.
we have a cool woman coming up. You guys will be happy about it. Woman trader. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gary or Dustin's going first then.
Well, Eric and I are on the same team, remember?
Yeah, Dustin or Gary is going to go first. Which one of you is going to go first?
Go ahead, Dustin. You need help, so I'll give you the start.
Okay, Cheney, he has 2 minutes.
TikTok.
All right, so 4 kids, early 20s. Now, the thing that no one tells you when you start having kids is that you are going to have them be the center of your universe. And the opportunity costs to both be building your career and your family at the same times require sacrifice from both, which is, if you're a little bit more established, if you've got a savings account, if you've got a career and you know where you're going, you're much better suited and prepared to have a family if that's what you choose to do when you're later in life. By having kids when you're young, and make no mistake, I see kids as the ultimate blessing and encourage everybody to have kids. It's been one of the greatest things in my life, but my kids have had to sacrifice because I was also in the process of building my career while I was raising my kids. And so if I had started having kids later, I would have been, frankly, a much better dad. I would have been able to spend more time with them, more quality time. I would have been able to have more direct impact on their education. Instead, I had to rely on systems that I've later come to despise and detest in big ways. And while nothing's ever perfect, making sure, and I feel like, especially with the way the world is now, rocketing inflation, making sure that you are prepared as best you can to be able to raise your kids really steers the idea towards having kids later in life, once you become a little bit more established and you have things settled in, so that they don't have to sacrifice for the decisions that you're making in order to build your life, build your career, and make everybody whole.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you for sticking to your 2 minutes. That's very much appreciated. Gary, would you like to go next for your team?
Well, I think I'm a good hospitable guy, so I'm gonna let Eric go. This is our house. So I think the guests should go first.
Okay, Eric, you have 2 minutes.
Let's do it. Yeah. So 2 kids, had them in my early 30s. Sacrifice is something that is mandatory in life for happiness. Many careers, many things that I've done, many things that I would like to have done personally for myself that aren't nearly as rewarding as watching children grow. And the one thing that I can say about the sacrifice between a career and a family is that the sacrifice is only selfish. It's only things that I wanted to do or things that I believed in. But I can tell you, having kids under the age of 40 allowed me to be young while they were young. And that's a very important thing, to kind of meet them where they are and be fresh into the problems that they're having. So as I get older and I meet families with other kids, like my business partner has 6 kids under the age of 13, huge family, I'm disassociated with a lot of the issues that they're going through. I don't know what they are, so I'm learning through the kids. But I think having kids before the age of 40 gives you dual purpose in life. We're all going to have careers, we have ambitions, things that we want to do. But the most rewarding thing that I have ever done, speaking only for myself, is having kids and watching my legacy grow. And my legacy is learning with me. And that's kind of the important part, where every organism on planet Earth has a simple process. You're born, you learn information, you share information, you die. And there's a legacy left behind with what you shared. And having these kids behind me, they are learning through my careers. They are watching me grow. They are actively asking questions. They are asking how it was when I was younger, even though it wasn't that much further back than they were. And we are watching an entire generation of families get older and older and more disassociated. And I think that one of the things about having children over the age of 40 is, number one, you have bumps and bruises, right? I'm 48 now, so I was a catcher for many years, so I can't do the thing. If my kids were young now, I wouldn't be able to have played with them the way that I did before because of the pain. And I think that we're watching a society right now get further and further away from that active lifestyle and that integrated family where the kids are watching the parents develop and grow, just like parents watch their kids develop and grow. Very important to me.
Thank you, Eric. Wow, everyone is following the rules. Very good job. Jay.
To me, this is an
You're
easy.
up.
To me, this is
1
an
minute.
easy. Oh, I don't see the clock yet. Okay, it's an easy debate because we're not talking about having kids or not having kids. We're just talking about what point in your life should you have kids. And so, if we're looking at factors like career advancement, your financial ability, your temperament with your kids, your relationship with your partner, all of those should be better if you're having kids at 40. And so, while you're young, yes, it's going to be nice that you can get a little more aggressive in the flag football, but it's going to be really nice when you're in your 40s and you can afford the schools you want to for your kids. You can afford the opportunities that you want to for your kids. The biggest thing that I see is I have friends of mine who had kids when they're young, they're in a new relationship, and kids aren't the easiest thing on a relationship, as opposed to the couple that's been together for 20 years. They're battle tested. They're much better situated to get through the experience that having kids is and providing a stable environment for them. And at the end of the day, it's about what's best for the kids, not how young do I want to be when I have kids.
Thank you very much. Gary, would you like to respond? You have 1 minute.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I'm a little conflicted, if I'm honest, because I had my first kid when I was 49, I think 50 maybe. Yeah, I would have been 50. And then I had my second kid when I was 52. What Eric said about being able to play baseball and football with them at 60 is ain't a lot of fun. However, I got 2 girls. This is what I saw. I saw men in business when I was 30 having children. I don't remember them talking about how cool it was. I don't remember them. I remember them working, and but I don't remember. I only get 1 minute, right? Or do I get 2 minutes?
Give them another minute.
We're going to give you another minute.
Sorry, just but I don't remember these guys, talking about having children and having fun with it. That's why this show came up, right? Because there's a lot of people complaining, going, "Hey, I can't afford to have children." And if that's true, I think another strategy would be, hey, maybe you have them either before or after, but you plan it. And 45% of all pregnancies in the United States, that's about 1.5 million people a year, are born with zero planning. Raise my hand, 2 kids, zero planning, bang, bang, we show up, I get married. Shotgun marriage is like that. Divorce rate's 90%. So then you have another 55%, 1.8 million people that are planning. And I think that's, to me, the real issue. For me, before 40, I would have had a lot more time with my children. I would have had a lot more, let's go fishing, let's do this, that was less painful on me, but I still did all those things. So if half the world is not going to plan these, I think, it's a weird conversation, because it's like, hey, why don't we have a conversation about planning to have children or planning marriage? And I most certainly have not approached marriage or children the same way I approached business.
I also,
Thank you, Gary.
so Gary, like on that, because I had my kids young, and 4 kids in my early 20s, and the struggle to both be building and trying to like build a life, and then all of the extra that goes along with having kids, right? I think, yes, maybe I could be rougher with them. I'm a all-time child throwing into beanbag champion. Like, I'm very proud of that. But you had the time, because you'd earned that time by building the career and having established yourself, so that, even if it wasn't as easy as it was, but I could tell you it still hurt when I threw the kids around, right? Like, even when you're young, you are not as invincible as your kids are. And having that level of establishment just really allows, I will say, though, in some ways I'm torn, and maybe this is the ultimate like copium justification as a parent, but the adversity, I think, was also good for my kids, which is the fact that I had to struggle and I went through a bunch of stuff, right? They also had to go through, like, they did not have the perfect easy life. I mean, can you imagine my poor kids being on the January 6th bus tour and then having to go watch CNN and be like, oh, look at daddy. Right. Like it, but I think that helped give them a lot of honor and integrity, and they've been shaped by that. So I'm also torn, but I've always envied people who had kids a little bit older, because if there's anything that I would wish in the world, it would be to spend even more time with my kids.
Thank you, Dustin. Eric, let's hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with that. And I think one of the important things is that in this world that we live in today, kids don't face adversity. Part of older parents are overprotective. That's a big problem in society right now. The older the parent, they made this pathway for themselves, that everything's comfortable. Now they have these kids. And I think the primary debate about kids over or under 40 is monetary. Like, we're talking about, can we afford kids? The truth is, kids aren't that expensive until they're teenagers. That's when they become really expensive. It's not that bad. So when you look at the overall view of this, kids watching their parents go through adversity. Like, I'm Gen X, so I came home from school at 3 o'clock. My parents got home from work at 7:30. I saw them for an hour. They went to bed. I went to bed, went to school. You learn how to grow up. You learn how to see your parents go through adversity, what they do, how do they cope with the difficulties at work. That learning lesson is invaluable for kids in an environment where right now, they're wearing helmets, on bikes. We didn't even have helmets. So this calcified society that we have, overprotective children, comes from, I believe, a lot of older parents. People are much older having parents right now who are established, and these kids have no idea. They expect their life to be a cupcake like their parents were, even though they didn't see the adversity their parents went through. When they see it, they appreciate it, and they appreciate what they have a heck of a lot more.
Thank you, Eric. Jay?
There's something to that, and there is. And adversity is one of the most important things that a kid can have. But there are certain real world constraints that you can't get around, that you have when you're when you have kids young. And just like compound interest is the greatest, one of the greatest miracles of the world, so is the ability of work potential. And I was at a fundraising thing, and there was a executive cabinet member, and I think he was there for one of the Trump 1 guys, and I'm sitting there and I'm having a drink with him, and I asked them, and I go, what was your secret? What got you ahead in life? And he goes, when I was young, I didn't have kids. I had kids later, and I was able to take every opportunity in life. So when they told me to go to this state and work on this project, I did it. And from there, I got bounced over here and I got bounced over here. And then when he was older, he had the kids and he had the whole life. But if he didn't jump on those opportunities, okay, if he couldn't pull his kids out of school, he never would have been able to achieve these fantastic things for himself, but not selfishly himself, for his family.
Thank you, Jay.
I've definitely, like, I guess we're free for alling now. Like, I think it's just good if we open it up to everybody. But like, what you learn is that you're competing against people who are exactly like Jay just talked about. So like when I was coming up in politics and in deal making and in business, I was competing against people who did not have the day-to-day responsibilities that I had. And it's really tough to manage and raise 4 kids, competing against people. If they have kids, like, they didn't give a shit, like they are overwhelmingly driven. I guess the question becomes, right? And I'm kind of going through this now. Sometimes I think back at some of those opportunities I passed on, though. I wonder if I was mature or I was ready, and that it actually is like one of those blessings that like I didn't end up in some of those positions because I'm now more prepared now that my kids have gotten a little bit older. But I guess we'll see how that plays out in real time. For me, there is no worse feeling as a man than struggling to keep your family afloat. And it's not always because, right, like things that are within your total control, like this world can chew you up and spit you out, no matter how successful you are, no matter what you've accomplished, right? The right people stomp on you, you get stomped on. And people should go in knowing or have that level of just seriousness about what we're doing, right? Like when you're raising your children, it is everything in the world. And making sure that you're prepared to have, and like everything else, I overdid it. Right? I had 4 kids in 6 years, and right, we're just gonna keep popping them out till I get a boy, because like my only goal in life was to coach Pop Warner football, right? But 4 kids is Eric's like, oh, kids aren't expensive until they become teenagers. Like, bro, I don't know what your kids were doing, but I would say that you should probably allocate at least 20 grand a year per kid, like on top of all your other expenses, for just medical, for additional schooling, for sports, for travel, for all of the things that go along with a kid. I would probably seriously encourage any parent to allocate like $20K additional a year per child for most of their life.
That's cheap. That's cheap, right? God forbid there's a healthcare expense or some type of advanced education.
Well, that's why you have insurance, right? That covers that. Because I always get told, got to have insurance. And I think insurance is a scam, but that's what insurance does, is cover your medical bills. So you're going to listen, there's an old Hebrew proverb: man plans and God laughs. And that's just the way that life works. And the purpose of living is to procreate, to have children, to create a culture, to continue a culture. And that's one thing that America is deeply lacking. I have the statistics of reproduction that are terrifying in America and Europe. We are not having kids. The other thing to look at, if you want to have kids over 40, if your wife is the same age, she's like 60% more likely to not be able to have a child. You remember the movie Idiocracy, where there was the smart family that waited until they had money, and then all the stupid people were reproducing like crazy? That's what we're living in, guys. When you talk about there's nothing worse than struggling to feed your family, nobody knows that story more than I do. And the best part about it is I don't struggle anymore, and my kids know that, and they saw it. And we went on a nice vacation that was really expensive with my kids, and I pulled them out by the pool, and I sat there and I said, you know how hard this would have been 6-7 years ago? And they're like, yeah, I remember. Like, a good Saturday was we went to McDonald's, we got a free toy, and we played at the park, and it was free. You don't need a lot of money to have kids. You need a lot of money to have kids so you can keep up with the Joneses. Kids don't need $200 days at Chuck E. Cheese. They don't need $1,700 church camps. They don't need those things. They need a mom and a dad to go through life with, to learn from, to watch and view what a strong person looks like struggling in life. And unfortunately, there's not enough of that in this country. And a lot of the struggle gets shoved off to the side and parents don't tell them. My kids saw the struggle and they appreciate the bounty. And I think that lesson that I'm teaching them by struggling when they're young and being prosperous when they're older is one that I couldn't tell them by words. They had to go through. So here's the weird thing, guys, in this debate is I believe that we all kind of see each other's point of view tremendously. Like, I get it. Okay. And we're assuming things in this debate. We're assuming you found the right person to have a child with. And that right person isn't the one who likes the same things you do. It's the person who hates the same things you do, who can't tolerate the immorality that you can't tolerate. So if we're assuming that you have the right person with you to make kids and raise a family with, why would you hesitate at all? The more that you're hesitating, the more that you're delaying the possibility of having kids, the more you're delaying your children from fast scale emotional growth at a young age, watching mom and dad struggle, and then watching mom and dad be the conquerors that you knew they could be. You have family units. This is something that we don't talk about, and especially in Bitcoin spaces, we don't talk about sociological effects or the family effects that are out there. These are the most devastating things. Bitcoin is not going to fix broken families. It's going to help to fix them, but we have to fix broken families. And the best way to fix broken families is to have one that isn't broken and let everyone see it and help people out around you.
We have
But
about
on your
2,000
point
people here. I just want to say, please like and reshare. Follow all these guys, these really lovely gentlemen. Go ahead, Jay.
Especially Dustin. He trimmed his beard and man, you look amazing. You look like you're your own age now. You don't look like you're a
You
roadie
showed up
from Grateful
today.
Dead.
I
To
like
go back
to
to your point about hardship, though. Okay, I agree with you. Hardship is the most important thing for any kid. I grew up lower middle class. Best thing that ever happened to me. Okay, but your kids don't benefit just from the fact that you struggled. They benefit from the fact that you struggled and you have financial common sense. And the problem is that these kids, when someone has a kid, it's fantastic and it's all wonderful. At minimum, okay, let's call it a $500,000 toy that family bought, okay? And when you're navigating, especially in this economy, which is absolutely terrible for the everyday person, and we're inflating away our money like crazy, okay? You can't work as hard as they can inflate your money away. If you're making these decisions when you're 20, you are taking on financial liabilities and you are not growing in the same way that you can when you're older. So I agree with the hardship argument, but at the end of the day, I think we all agree that financial literacy is probably the most important factor when having kids and not the exact age.
You're
You're
muted,
muted,
Gary.
Gary.
Gary, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, man. I know a lot of billionaires that are horrible, horrible parents, man. They're just so bad, it's stupid. Look, it's an interesting discussion, but I think this is a silly debate. It really kind of gets to Eric's point. It's like, hey, maybe we should focus on marrying the right person first, right? Because I can just go impregnate a bunch of women. But I mean, this is a pretty staggering stat, right? Wow, 45%. I had a feeling this was true. I didn't think guys, like I know guys, they don't walk around with their thing in their pants going, hey, I'm looking to make some babies. They get excited about something they see and they want to go play with it. And that's how you end up with babies. I mean, I've been married 3 times. I've had 2 kids at 49. I don't know why I didn't have any kids, because it wasn't like I wasn't spraying shit all over the place with or without intention. But a woman called me probably 20 years later, someone I knew in Houston. I actually love this woman a lot. And one day she just left me. And 2 years, I was gutted. She calls me 20 years later and says, hey, man, I got pregnant with you and I just couldn't do it. And so 20 or 30 years later, I found out, I impregnated a woman. She aborted it. And then she couldn't even talk to me for 20 years because she's so, upset about it. And I always wonder, wow, would I have been a good dad at 22? I'm not sure I would have been. I think I was too immature. Now, these stats that I came up with, it says that in 1980, the marriage age was 20. It was 22 24 to 22, 24.7 for men and 22 for women. And now it's 30 for men. It's 6 years more, and it's 28.6 for women. At 25, dude, I was just not mature enough to have children. I do not know a man who is mature enough to have a kid. He's still a child. I just do not meet many mature 25-year-olds. Do y'all?
I
I know a couple.
And by the way, Dustin, I think actually, it just dawned on me yesterday. I had a phenomenal experience yesterday that I won't go into, but it dawned on me that my struggles have nothing to do with my kids' development.
Yeah.
Their struggles, they don't give a fuck. All they know is, hey, was Gary available or not? Was Dad there when I needed him? Not like quality time bullshit, but and they like my kids. This is another problem, having kids really late. It dawned on me, my kids have no idea what I did before I met their wife, their mother. At 48, they have no idea who their dad was 48 years prior. All the grandparents are gone, so they don't even have any grandparents. This is the downside of doing this late. They have no cousins from my side. Other than Grant, and our lives are too busy. So it's to me, that's the real subject. Hey, is marriage working? The kids,
listen,
right?
We could turn and have like a full blown. I think that would be a very fascinating discussion. But I'll say this: I was one of the wildest young people imaginable. Right, like I've always been smart and gregarious. So right, parties, poker. I was on the like full-time professional poker circuit. Having kids almost certainly saved my life because it forces you into a level of maturity.
Yep.
And again, some of this is assuming that you're not just a shitbag who would have the ability to abandon your kids to go chase selfish pleasures, which I think is hugely problematic, like for a growing number of people, which is they are very self-consumed. And if a kid can't break you out of your self-consumption, then you truly are lost in a way that is terrible. Because it's for me, I look back at several really of the most difficult moments of my life where everything seemed against me and I just couldn't seem to get anything right. And the thing that got me up every morning to continue to push and continue to figure it out was the fact that I have 4 young people, right? I have 4 little ones that were counting on me to be an example to them. And so, right, like in some ways, I get it, because I would have told you that I was wholly and totally unprepared, like when I started having kids, and I was. But there's the other wild thing. What you said is so true, Gary, which is the kids are so freaking resilient. It's stupid, and they do not need perfect parents. They do not need perfect situations, but they do need experienced mentorship and leadership. And I think that somewhere along the way, I don't think you can pick, but as you get older, you start and you get a little bit more established, you have the ability to build a life out for them. Like it's gotten progressively easier for me as I've gotten older, but yeah, I often wish I had started a little later, so that I'd been able to really capture some of those opportunities when I was younger.
And I would say wholeheartedly, the only regret I have in life, and I've done some stupid things, but the only regret I actually have in life is not having more kids. Like, that's it. At 2, I have friends with 6, 5, 4. And go back to your point, Jay. When I was 10 years old, my mom was studying for nursing school. She was working in a liquor store. So I would help her. I would go to the liquor store. I'd help her, take the bottles out of the box and stock the shelves. I remember staring at that stupid worm in mezcal. Like, how do people eat this thing? It's disgusting. And she worked in a liquor store. We didn't have much money, but she was studying for nursing boards. And at 10 years old, I was the one with the index cards quizzing her for her exams. I was learning about the human body and anatomy at 10 years old. With financial literacy, we have a lot of Bitcoiners on these debates. What you're learning, if you're not teaching it to your kids immediately, they're going to be a victim of the same system. And we as a society, as a culture, I've heard from all three people, and I don't disagree, because I thought the same thing, is I wasn't mature enough. Even when I had a kid, I didn't feel like I was mature enough. We have Peter Pan syndrome, which is being thrust upon us. Where, I don't ever want to grow up. I want to be all alone and, have these selfish things. All the cool success that I've had in life, the most important thing to me, as soon as something amazing happens, is I can't wait to go tell my kids. Like, I can't wait to see their look on, even if they don't understand what it is. And they're just like, yeah, Dad's great. This is awesome. Right? Like, that's an important thing. So this Peter Pan syndrome is both sides. It's not just men, but we also have the old theory of weak men create hard times create strong men create good times. Guess where we are in that spectrum? We are enthralled by weak men and hard times. And you know what good men have? Children. They have families. They have legacies, and they have responsibilities. And the moment I had a child, I told the story on a space the other day. I thought people were completely full of crap when they would say, like, why are you crying? I'm so happy. That's stupid. Why would you do that? That was the only time in my life I've ever cried out of happiness, was seeing this little tiny thing in my hands that I made. And now this is a grown man with a job doing his own thing. And he's just like me. And he's just as resilient. He's just as tough, because he saw Dad go through it. And I think there's something to that. So I think it's a perfect pivot in this conversation to go into, we're talking about kids, right? That families aren't a problem when you have the right spouse. The problem is, when are people going to be mature enough to buckle down and have families? The family in America, this is the only country I live in, is eroding. It's getting older. It's getting less exuberant. It's becoming less of a badge of honor. In every civilization previous to the one we live in, the badge of honor for men when they got around other men was how many sons they had. That was the badge of honor. And you can go back thousands of years. Now today, the badge of honor is a sports car or a conquest last night or a drunken stupor somewhere. These are the traditional mainstream conquests. These are the things that we think make men. What makes a man is if he can raise a family. And that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I'm not trying to thrust my values upon you. But I think that that's, throughout most of human history, a very steadfast conservative value of every civilization that's come before us. So maybe civilization is changing. Maybe it is. Maybe we're getting down to this one or two families, because right now, for a culture to permeate, to exist, to continue forward, you need to have 2.1 children per woman in that culture. Most of Europe right now is around 1.4, and they're being invaded. So you have North Africans, you have Middle Easterners, you have all kinds of cultures that aren't French, they aren't English, they aren't Dutch. They're coming in to replace you. That is what's happening. That's happening in America, all over the place. So if the American culture or the British culture or any culture plans to actually exist 100 years from now, we're going to have to increase the amount of children per woman. Statistic, this is such a cold thing to say on a family thing, but like, you literally need an output. And right now we are sitting at about 1.84 in America, and 2.1 is what will continue a culture. And I absolutely believe that people need to start buckling down, having children earlier, gaining responsibility beyond what's in your bank account and how many vacations you can take, and raising strong children so that this country can succeed in the future. Right now we're in big trouble, and it's a topic very few people cover.
Wow. I just saw Jessica Kirsch commented she's 38 and pregnant with her first. Jessica's going to be, if anyone who knows Jessica knows, she's going to be an awesome mom, and I'm really happy for her. On the marriage thing, I struggle with this because, like, I was married, like, I had all 4 of my kids with my first wife, but we married when we were teenagers, and we had no idea who we were going to become. And she was very, very, right. She's an incredibly amazing, sweet woman. We probably have the best relationship between parents who are divorced of anyone I've ever met. So I count those blessings. But she was somebody who was very uncomfortable with any kind of public attention or attention in general. And when I started to, like, rise, it became something that was no longer feasible. And it wasn't anybody's fault. It was that you don't know who you are. We all go through different seasons of our lives and grow and evolve and adapt. And I don't know how much I believe the institution of marriage through the government makes sense anymore. Like it seems to me that it's allowing the government and some judge to stand in between my relationships with the people who matter most to me. And the example I'll give, I've managed to keep peace between, all right, I was my first wife, and then Jen, I've been with Jen for almost 15 years. So it's right. It's not that I've been very good at maintaining long-term relationships, but I don't want to put the government and some judge to give him the power over people that I'm associated with that I know will do the right things, unless they're being pushed by some system to see somebody that should be on your team as an adversary. And so I think that it's my push on this would be that people should have families, but there is nothing wrong with exploring things that are outside tradition. And
Sure.
part of that reason is that the system, right? And I think part of the reason the birth rate is declining is that we no longer, right? You don't need to have 8 kids to be able to manage everything on your land, right? You don't need an army of child labor to clean the chicken coops and stable the horses. It's not as necessary to have as many kids. Now, I think they're the greatest blessings. Like, every kid is different, and it's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me by far. But with that said, I want people to find happiness and happy relationships and build healthy, wholesome families. But I think the whole model's broken. This whole idea that kids leave with that you're done with them at 18. Like, it's crazy to me how much we don't see, or how many other people don't see, that being a parent's a lifelong commitment that you're making, right? It doesn't stop at 18. Like, why we have this whole system that's designed to break us away from the people that we're closest to is insane to me. I guess I rambled on like 8 tangents there. Probably not.
No, but just real quickly to Eric's point about the duty to have kids. I think it's a dangerous argument because, one, there's a whole swath of the population who can't have kids for some reason, right? It's not capable. And to tell them that their life isn't as valuable, or they're not, leading us towards a greater purpose, I think is a terrible thing to say. I think people can live very fulfilling lives in roles that, either through your professional job or through your family associations and everything like that, it's very easy to contribute to the lives of others and find meaningful purpose. I have felt so I work in a career where we're helping people. I've been able to feel very fulfilled with that. I have family members with kids, and all that's wonderful. But it's been very nice for me that my position on having kids and not have kids has always been very easy for me, and I don't go back and forth. And that's a blessing, because the people who do go back and forth, I hurt for them, because I think if you want kids, I want you to have them, and I want you to have as many as you want. But it is and not for yourself, but for the life of those kids, it's the greatest undertaking that you can ever take. And I just hope that when people do it, they do it with the right intentions and understanding, at least to the best that you can, what you're getting yourself involved in, because it's the most important thing you're ever going to do if you choose to go down that route.
Thank you, Jay. Gary, we haven't heard from you in a bit.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion. I'm actually sitting here finding myself conflicted on so many levels. One, does marriage even work? I signed 3 of these documents, and they didn't. Like, I went to London, ladies constantly saying, "Hey, shit, man, I hate shopping in London." And I'm like, well, I'm building a fucking career here, dude. Like, I'm so sorry that the shopping in central fucking London isn't. You have to get on a bus, and you can't go to Whole Foods in your own car. I mean, I'm sitting there going, what the hell are you complaining about? Look, my life took my life was always going right. And I basically got attached to somebody that didn't want to go the same place. I think this is the era. I did no planning around spouses and quite frankly, I just, to Eric's point, I don't think everybody's set up to do this. Okay. Like not everyone has to be a daddy. Like I am convinced that I have lived many, many lives. And I think I'm pretty convinced I have lived a lot of solo lives. As a soldier, dude, a soldier probably just needs to go out and do soldiering shit and get laid as much as possible, but he's probably not going to be the greatest dad on the planet. We need men like that. Like there's never been this 5,000 years ago, people they just impregnated people, didn't worry about the parent they were. The family and the tribe took care of it. That's the other thing, got no tribes. Okay, two people and a psychologist are supposed to teach their parents. Instead, what we do is throw them in the fucking school system. Look, I'm a rich guy. Raising kids before the age of 12 is not expensive. I totally agree with Eric. Like it is cheap as shit, dude. They don't eat much. If you're not buying them $400 dresses, I never have. The second kid wears the first kid's clothes. It's not really that expensive. The time they require is what's expensive. And this to me is the problem when you're 7 and your dad's never there and now your mom's never there, because the average sub 40-year-old, $39,000, 20 to 24, 35 to 39, 65 G's, man. So I'm not saying that they can't afford to have kids when they're 3, but they are so busy. And most people they're not in love with their job, in love with what they're doing. So they're just working to pay for shit. So, and if I may, the divorce situation, okay, having gone through it, I am not, anybody that knows me really well, if they know my story, one, I know why guys walk away now. Like I know why guys walk away from marriages and go, fuck this, dude. I had nothing to do with these children. It's going to destroy me. I really, the system breaks them financially. Had I not been wealthy, I would not have my 2 children. And I am a great dad. I'm actually a better father. This is a hard side for me to take. I know I was supposed to be a father late in age because I am actually a really good father. I have very few regrets about being a father. Horrible husband. Like I just don't know how to do it well. But I watched movies with these kids. I took them on adventures. And you know what I said about being older and not being able to do shit? Look, I still ski with these kids and I'll destroy them. Okay. But it is painful. It's like literally it is both ego and just I'm doing the right thing, but they have no clue how much pain I'm in. I mean, I lasted 3 days this year. I'm like, I can't ski this much. And they're getting too good. Okay. They're like in a totally different league. To Dustin's point, since we're not really debating, and Jay, we'll pop over to you. Dustin made a comment about, did it drag him down? I used to target people like him. If you're a competitor of mine, you have 3 kids, dude, I know I'm going to destroy you. Okay. Like I had a rule when I was, when we all lived together. And if I went to London, I didn't talk to my kids for 5 days. I would not call them. It destroyed me, man. I'm sitting there wealthy going, why the hell am I away from my kids, dude, sitting in a fucking hotel for some new business? I don't want to be here. I want to be hanging out. So I wouldn't accept the phone calls. And my 18-year-old today is so independent because the way she saw her parents living their lives that at 18, she literally moved out of both of our homes and she's living with some cousins just to start getting her individuality. I think there's some people that, we will destroy this little awesome human being. She needs to go out in her own now. Like I do believe that people are holding on to these kids, man. And I want to hold on to her. But the truth is that's all ego, dude. I need to get this kid is equipped. As long as she doesn't get raped or drugged. And like I could have gotten raped or drugged. when I was 18, 20, 25. I did so many stupid things. I'm lucky I didn't end up in prison, quite frankly. So they're going to show up. They're going to have their life. They're going to, I think everybody's in for it's so hard. Is it right or wrong? I don't know, man. I most certainly haven't done it intentionally wrong. I'm most certainly made a ton of mistakes. But the cool thing is, and to Eric's point, like, hey, we do have a population problem. If we want any white people to be in this country, I'll just say it. You're going to have to get an erection and find something to stick it in that can actually, fertilize eggs, dude. Like, you can't just keep using, you know what I'm saying? Y'all have to learn how to talk to girls. I meet 35-year-old women that I like, and they're like, dude, I want to have a kid. I'm like, I don't care if you have a kid. Wouldn't bother me at all, but the kid's going to know they're going to see me die, right? My dad died when I was 8 years old, dude. There's no guarantees on how old the guy's going to be around or mom's going to be around. There's zero. Now, the cool thing is I have a lot of money. So I leave comfort around. I don't know what I would do if I was a woman right now. I would be like, wow, I can't marry a 28-year-old because they're idiots. And I can't marry a 58-year-old. You know what I'm saying? It's
I just want to say I'll give a woman's perspective. Someone was asking if I want kids. Here's the problem. This debate is really for men because men can decide if they want to have kids after 40. Women can't get trapped. So if they have a kid, like, they're in it. So it's more of a question, I think, for women on, okay, like, of course, I would love to have kids with the right person. Without the right person, I just wouldn't do it. But, that's not everyone. Some women would. But it's a much bigger problem. You have to be with the right person, or
I think
your whole life is taken.
I must say, I am always surprised that people don't think that just if I had let's say, Dana, I fell in love with you and you had a kid, dude, that kid would be he would be part of me too, dude. I don't get it. Do I have one of my children that I like better than the other one? 100% of the time. Okay. 90% of the time in certain situations, I like one over the other. Okay. Because they're different, dude. One's going to go fishing with me. The other one's going to be like, I hate this shit. Doesn't mean I don't like the other one. Just means she has a broader category of things I dig. So, I don't know. If Hoddle J had a baby in 10 years, he might not want to be a dad, but like it might not be his first ambition in life, but I suspect he's going to man up for it, or they'll find a family to give it to. I don't understand why people don't do that. I'd keep it. I think adoption is but it's not a bad thing. Look, I think a lot of people shouldn't have kids, Eric, quite frankly. The way they fucking come out and the way they behave. The way they behave on Spaces is stunning, man. It's like, oh, wow, you didn't have a parent around. I was disciplined, beat and disciplined, slapped, pinched, and belted on a regular basis. My fucking pants would come down, dude. Belt. Smack it. Hit, thrown shit at, and some of these families today, they treat their children like little pussies. They're so disrespectful to the child themselves.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I don't disagree with that. To go back to your point, Jay, if I did say that people who don't have children don't serve a purpose, I apologize. I don't think that I said that. I think that children give a deeper purpose to life. Just something deeper. And until you have them, you can't really understand that, because I didn't understand that. When other people told me that, I had no idea, man. I thought they were so full of crap. And then you have them and you're like, wow, everything has more depth. So if I did say that, totally apologize.
I think that's for some people, because I got lucky that while I was going through school, I always worked, I always bartended. So it's real nice when the bar gets quiet. You can just, someone's sitting there and an older couple. My favorite thing to do, if you're 70 years old sitting in my bar and we're empty, I'm giving you free drinks and we were just going to talk about your life. What did you like to do? What were your greatest successes? Your everything.
That's
And
that's a hack right there. He's a smart guy.
100%. Yeah.
And the people who had kids were very happy. But guess what? The people who didn't have kids, they were thrilled too. And very rarely did someone regret the decision, as long as it was an informed decision, right? Not there were some situations where their husband didn't want to have the kids, so they talked them out of it, and that's a terrible thing to do to somebody. But two people went in, both decided they didn't want kids. They built other things. They had other associations to the community, and they had a great time, right? And they enjoyed their life. So it's a beautiful, wonderful thing about the marriages, and it's the most important relationship to your kid is going to be your bond with your spouse.
100%.
And what we're seeing is people go into this uninformed, and then the kids suffer. And so my mom was a middle school principal, and she was like, in middle school, that's when they all get divorced. That's the age when the parents get divorced. They make it to like 12, 13, and then it just splits them up. And I love the idea of couples getting to know each other better, making sure that they are providing the most stable environment for children, and then moving forward with that. Not that it's perfect and life is still going to happen and your spouse can pass away unexpectedly, but the decisions that I make now at 40 I'm a different person than when I was at 20. Okay. I should have been locked in a cage at 20 and sprayed with a hose once a week. At 40, I make much better decisions, even though kids aren't necessarily in my path. Yes, if I had a kid, I'd man up, do the right thing, because I can afford to do that now. And I can be that support structure, because we've all seen what happens when the kids aren't raised correctly. And we're living in a society right now where you can walk down the block and find 10 instances of people who weren't raised correctly, with boundaries, with just basic respect for humanity.
Well, I so appreciate that. I get because we get this sometimes. Like, I could never vote for somebody who doesn't have kids because they just can't see the future. Bro, the idiots we have now have 40 freaking kids, and trust me, they suck. Like, having kids is right. Like the whole idea that not having kids somehow like takes away or detracts from like people's overall sense of like wanting to keep things and build things for the future, I think is just usually kind of nonsense. Which is I've seen people find meaning in every different kind of path. And I think if there's one takeaway I take from the broader discussion, it's whether you have kids when you're in your 20s or your 30s or your 90s, like Gary or Strom Thurmond, like just you will find a way. And it's exactly right. You can adapt to whatever the situation is. And the difference really is a mindset thing, if more than anything to me. Like the thing is, the men on this panel, right? What you heard was a lot of wisdom about thinking through things and doing real life inventories and evaluations to come to smart conclusions. That's the kind of thing that we need to be, right? If we spread that, people will naturally have more kids, right? But it's not spreading the idea to people like you must have children now. It's giving them the tools and the mindset to be equipped to make those decisions and make those decisions at good points. So I really have, it's hard to even call this a debate, because like the wisdom that I've gotten from Jay, Eric, and Gary, all who had different kids at different points of their lives, what I heard was a lot of wisdom about all of it, that there's always going to be gives and takes, right? Yes, if you're a little bit older, you're not going to be as young. You're not going to be able to do the more physical stuff. If you're older, though, you're more established. You're going to have more time. It all washes out if the intent is on being a good parent and living up to your obligations.
Guys, thank you for being here. We have 3,000 live. Thanks for showing up. Let's go around and also see if we have any more closing statements. Gary, Eric, Jay, what do you guys have to say?
I'll go first. Yeah. So first of all, there's 8 billion people on planet Earth. There's not one cookie cutter model for anyone's life. There's 8 billion people. That's 8 billion different destinies and different things that you go through, and 8 billion different stories to hear and tell. The deeper discussion here, I think the title is incorrect. Should we have kids? It's should we raise a family is really a different thing. Having a kid and raising a family are totally different things. And we can look at all the negatives. We can look at all the, there's so many bad kids and terrible parents out there. And all that is true. How does it change? It changes when we do. So, I hear this conversation about homeschooling. School systems are corrupt, and they are. My kids still go to public school. I want them to be the shining light in the darkness. That's part of life. It's part of the adversity. I'm sending them there, and we're going to make a change. If we don't change the society that we live in, the society is doomed. That is just a foregone conclusion that anyone would agree with. I think one of the topics that came up here that's probably the most prevalent and maybe the best debate to have is what Jay said. I did the same thing when I bartended in college. I absolutely love, and I still do it now. I find the oldest dude in the room and I sit down, I go, tell me something cool, and that is one of those things that our society is lacking. We now have young people calling older people boomers and okay boomer when they don't realize that is a bastion of knowledge and just a handout of good stuff that they can use to change their life. So we don't get to a point where we get back to that elder respect and a good society without raising good families. It's just a fact. So whether you're in your 40s or whether you're under 40 or you're 65 years old, it's when you're ready to raise a family that you have a family. And I think the most important thing here is getting back to personal relationships. Gary brought it up earlier. One of the staggering things that I've heard recently is the virginity rates of men in America under the age of 25. There are 25-year-old men who are virgins that don't know how to approach a woman. And if we don't have strong men who have a goal of one day, whether they're 36 or 25 or 52, to raise a family, they serve no purpose. It's just selfish indulgence. And that's what our relationships have become in society, is transactional. They're not really relationships. So I think this conversation by itself is so good to have and such a good thing to have that, if you boil it all down, I encourage everyone to get to a point in their life where they want to raise a family, because it'll be the most rewarding thing you've ever done. I also encourage people to achieve their personal goals. And if you can do those two things simultaneously, it's twice as rewarding. If you can't, pick one and choose a lane and get into it, but go at it full steam. This is a debate, so I'm taking a stance of being very hardcore. In reality, I really just want you to be happy. I just want people to be happy. Whether you're alone, you're with someone else, you have children, you don't have children. Be happy, be productive, provide something bigger than your own world to the rest of the world. And be there, like Jay said, you're supporting other people. That's actually a huge part of society. But I can't tell you from any other perspective than a man with 2 children who's had businesses and been a failure and been a success and gone through it with them, that there's anything more rewarding, because there isn't. For me personally, that's my experience. Now, somebody else, Gary will have his own, Dustin will have his own, Dana, Jay, you'll all have your own experiences. This is why these debates are important to have. But at the end of the day, human empathy is far more important than proving your point in the debate. And the procreation and the existence of the American culture is something I am terrified about. I talk about it all the time on my podcast. So in order to continue our culture, we have to first define what it is once again, and then raise families that believe in the same thing and build strong communities around it. That's how you fix many problems in society today.
Thank you, Eric. Jay?
I'll go next. I mean, I agree with everything that Eric said. I think this has been also an incredibly respectful debate, which I really appreciate, because I think we're all on the same point, and we've all put a lot of thought into this. And so what I would ask from the audience, or wish for the audience, is just that they think their decisions through. If you want to have kids at 20, great. I had friends stay with me recently. They're 45 years old and they got a 25-year-old. And guess what? They're happy and they've had a great life and they're successful. And we just want things to be thought through. And the other thing is communicating with your partner about this is one of the most important things. I don't know if my girlfriend, my partner, and I, if we're just overly therapized, but we talk about almost everything, little scenarios. Well, what if this and what if that? And I have friends who are married and having kids and we're, sitting down having a drink or talking about something, I go, what's your wife's opinion on this? And go, oh, we don't talk about that. I go, oh, that's kind of strange. What about this? Oh yeah, we don't talk about if that happens. And are you in a relationship? Or are you guys just sharing a house and raising babies together? So I just hope that whoever you decide to have kids with, you have that open expression where you work through all the scenarios and you think things through and you plan things through. And I think it's going to be better for you, better for your families, and better for those kids.
Thank you, Jay. Gary, what's your response?
Well, it's been interesting. I don't think there's this is the problem. If you're 20 to 30 years old and you come work for me and you tell me you're going to have a baby, I don't want to hire you. I do not want to hire you. If you tell me you're a man and your wife's pregnant, I probably don't want to hire you either. Like this is I've literally been in business. I'm like, okay, he's married. He's got 3 kids. I mean, I'm really good at who's got what. And a guy with 2 or 3 kids, dude, I know he's going home on Thursday. And I'm working through Friday morning. I get that extra meal. I mean, it is a problem, okay? Like, I'll destroy you. If you have your attention on something else and you're competing with me, I will destroy you, okay? Like, and it's just part of the game. I'm not being mean. You showed me one of your issues, dude. You actually work for your wife and your kids. You don't work for Chevron. And that's why I would never call my kids when I'm away. Like when I'm in a military operation, I don't have time to call the kiddies. So I've been really brutal about this. The other thing is, look, the divorce rate's off the fucking rails. It's 46% or so, 52. It's 72% after the first marriage. I don't know how 2 20-year-old kids are going, okay, yeah, gosh, you're it, dog. Okay, I just don't, man, it's awesome. Jay, I ain't talking to my fucking wife about my money. You know why? Because she's not a money expert. That's why. It'd be like me talking to my daughters. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to talk to her about her nails either. Okay, like I don't know anything about painting nails. Like we have to have our own shit. Okay, I don't want to talk to a woman about my painting, man. I want to go in there and paint myself. I am an individual. I would say to both my children, I've asked my kids to do one thing. Just don't change your last name, dude. Unless you meet some cat that's so cool and he's got a better name than me, keep my damn name. That's all I can do, right? Like I know I'm not going to have the boys. And I think about my children being young. I'm like, do not have a kid at 25 or 30 years old if you're a girl. Go out there and unless that is what you're designed to do and you know that, go out and find the world first. Like we're not living in caves anymore. We're not living in small villages. There's a whole world out there. And I'm an organism. My kids are an organism living in it. Are they going to learn what's out there so they can make an informed decision? Or they're going to just be I'm in this zip code 33701 and my choice of mates is 33701. That cannot be smart, okay? I don't think so. And I can understand why marriage would have lasted 20 or 30 years back in the old days. You only lived till you were 50 now or 60, right? And there wasn't any other choices. There was 37 people in the village, dude. Nobody cared if you were that happy. And maybe there was no other options. There was no divorce court. Okay. And that's a huge issue. Okay. It's a huge issue. That a guy like me could wake up one morning and realize, oh, wow, my kids aren't in my house and they're in another state. And then I get a piece of letter going, you've been filed on. It's like, dude, that's illegal. You can't do that. 3 months she stayed there. Okay. And the man gets put in a position where my lawyers are like, hey, get on your private jet and go get them. I'm like, wow, let's play that shit out. I get on my private jet. I freak everybody out in Idaho. go there. You know, I'm going to make a scene. I look like the outsider. You guys are setting my ass up. That law has to change, man. Men should not have to fight. You know, they stick their thing in somebody. We have a baby, and now I got to fight for my right to see my kids, almost as if I'm inferior. That's not cool, dude. You're telling the whole world a man is really not necessary. I spent millions and millions. I would have bankrupted myself to keep my children. I didn't give a fuck. I was just like Dustin. Bro, I will take the whole fucking state down. I am going to hang out with my children. That's before I talk about how much they were told about me, which was like all lies. Now, look, I didn't expect this when I met this person. I met this person when I was 42 or 44 years old, and seemed productive. I mean, love the sex. See, I didn't do much research on anything other than the sex, though. So I raised my hand. I will say, a guy sticks his thing in somebody, you got to be willing to be responsible, bro. Like, I was always willing to be responsible. And that means, like, I could see women going, hey, I want to be impregnated, but I don't want to be married with you. Let's do a financial deal. I could see transactions like that being very, very legitimate. Like, would not, if I'm a woman, I need some good sperm. I do not need a fucking anchor. Right? I don't. Now, it'd be awesome if we can create a really great family, but my mother, had my dad been around, my mom did a good job. She did a good job by herself. Maybe that needed to happen to me, right? So it's so hard for us to sit there and go, well, is Dana doing the right thing? I mean, who knows, man? We just do the best job we can. I most certainly think once you've impregnated something and it starts life, though, you cannot just go kill it. It's life then, man. Okay, don't tell me a seed that can make an apple is not life. I mean, I can see the life in it. I can see the water. Like, I'm ashamed of the way I've treated the Oregon that we live in. I throw shit all around, don't care about it. I'm like, wow, I'm living in a box. Anyway, it's a whole different discussion, but if we spent more time in elementary school actually doing some really important things like who the hell am I not? How do I do 1 + 1? And read this book that's been, we've lied. Anyway, it's a whole social construct, really. See, I see some really good people here, and everybody keeps saying you're fighting on, a battle you can't win. It's like, no, dude, I think there's a lot of unbelievably articulate. I've never spent any time with Jay. Incredibly articulate human being. Okay, this is like, we can make a difference if we just come together. I have to connect with the power players to figure out who's able to do something. And who are the fighters, man? Who are the, hey, I want to fight because it's a fight and it's worth having a fight because it's the right thing to do. Just going to leave you with one thing. Yesterday, I had one of the most profound experiences of my entire life. And, staggering. And it dawned on me that the only thing, if I start tearing up here, just cut the feed, but it dawned on me, Bitcoin, money, savings, it dawned on me that the only thing I am collecting are memories. Dude, that's it. Ain't no Bitcoin. There's no baseball. There's no children. They're just memories, images on a JPEG, dude, in my mind, associated with some sensory perceptions of either fear or joy or adventure. And like, I'm really looking at this going, fuck, dude, I literally have nothing but memories. And I don't have enough of those. We spend all our time chasing money, dude. I don't have enough adventures. And those adventures come tapped with little events, right? And that's what my kids are going to, this is the problem with sending them to school. Like, let's go get them a bunch of adventures, right? From camping out to sitting in a really fancy hotel with some big hitters and show them the whole world. That I'm happy. I've done that, but the memory thing, man, the memory thing. I was thinking, I think about younger people too. I'm like, you guys need to go out and adventure. Don't worry about the fallout. Like, I think people worry too much about the fallout. I don't really worry that much about it. It's kind of like, hey, I'll deal with it when I get there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, you could say, wow, you've been married 3 times. What a waste. Well, I don't bitch about it a lot. It's not like I bitch about it, right? It's just my life. I mean, I may talk about it, but I don't ever really bitch about it. Was it a failure? I guess if you're a marriage person, you're like, yeah, he failed, man. Like, I just don't think you can bifurcate these things. Elon Musk is probably going to be hopefully he's going to do more good than bad. His dad was an abusive human being, man. It's not like he had it easy. In fact, I look at all great people and they seem to have a deep wound. Mm-hmm. Every one of them. I don't know anyone that had a really soft life that's done anything. I don't know anybody that's done anything and you go, oh, wow, you had a rosy, flowery life, dude. Everything was perfect. Name me one human being. You can't. It's all trauma and, so maybe we're just like actors in this whole deal. And we think, what did you say, Eric? Dude, I cannot believe I heard this. You said, man plans and God laughs his ass off.
Yep.
It's hilarious, really, the hubris that we have, right? Because everything's worked out very well for my children. That's the truth. And they're going to end up with a fucking severe wound on a divorce and not know anything about relationships and blah, blah, blah. Who cares, man? Dana's had issues. Hoddle's had issues. Dustin's had issues. Dustin's been in jail. I've done stupid shit like you read about. I think the best thing I can do is just make sure that I tell the true story and that Gary isn't all glittered up with some fake story about all the good parts, and that we never get that. Hey, your dad was, he was a deep thinker, or guy was fucking crazy. I mean, just you could spin the story that way. Anyway, this was most certainly not a debate, but I like these kind of conversations because I think they get people. These are really, really important conversations.
On your point about what your kids learned, I had a moment. So I was in my 20s and I hadn't been getting along with my dad for a long time. He's an asshole. I'm mad. Blah blah blah. And I go to him. Would you like to go talk to a therapist? Try and work out what we got. And he goes, no, you want to go to therapy? You can go. And I said, okay, I'll just go fuck myself. I'll go. So I go and I'm talking with this therapist and she's listening to everything about my little gripes that I have. And she goes, I got a question for you. How was your dad's life? I go, my dad had a hard childhood. He goes, did your dad give you a better childhood than he had? I go, yeah. And he goes, that means he tried. That's it. Everything else melted away. Everything I was pissed off about my whole life, when you realize that your dad's just another guy who tried to do better than what he had, it's real hard to be pissed. And then from there on, we had this fantastic relationship until he passed away. But it was just realizing he's just the guy who did better than what he had.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story, dude. Didn't take 40 years either of therapy.
Yeah.
If you take ownership of the deal,
took 2 weeks.
And my dad told me something very important when I was young, right after, well, I guess I wasn't young, it's 15 years ago. When my mom died, I gave her eulogy. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done by far, because no matter what I did, she always asked the same question. What'd you learn? Right? Everything was always, what'd you learn? You kick some kid's ass. What'd you learn? Somebody kicks your ass. What'd you learn? And I talked to my dad and I said, how do I, where do I go from here? And he said, live your life like you want your eulogy read. And I thought to myself, man, that's about as profound as life gets. Live your life like you want your eulogy to be read. And, whatever that is, whatever you want people to say on that day where you left the earth and head to heaven, whatever it is that they remember, those are the memories you build now. And life is a series of decisions and consequences and experiences. And it's how you deal with them You know, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, when you have kids, you have more decisions, you have more consequences, you have more responsibilities. You also have a deeper sense of joy when those things, you know, turn out and you see your kids get through adversities. Like the coolest thing ever is like watching your kid, like, hey, I'm having a hard time. And then a week later, they're totally fine. Like, what happened? Like, don't worry about it, Dad. I settled it. Like that's rewarding. But live your life like you want your eulogy read. I'll never forget hearing that. And he didn't, it came from somebody else. He read it somewhere else. But when I was giving a eulogy, after that, I asked him and he said, that was amazing what you just talked about with your mom. Now take that and do that the rest of your life. Live your life. Every interaction you have with someone, you want them to come to your funeral and have them give that same sentiment for the exact way that you were with them. So important to do.
That's cool, Eric. I just wanted to say that my dad did the same thing. He said the same quote, which is, oh, well, what did you learn? Or, but did you go to bat? Were you in the game or were you out of the game? So I was really comfortable with failure my whole life, which is probably why I failed so much and in such an extreme way, but just remember to, you know, get back in the game because it is like, oh, what did you learn? You know, it's cool because I learned really extreme lessons and other people didn't learn those.
Well, it's because you had a strong man in your life. Gary, I think we need to have like a throwdown here. Like I think we need to take a couple of the ladies, right? Because I'm getting all kinds of texts, like they're very upset that they were not properly represented on this panel.
Well, Dustin,
maybe
you should
Gary versus
send them my number, Dustin.
We just pick a couple of chicks and we'll do men are better than women and make them cry. Well, I think that's
men against women.
Men are better.
That'll go over like gonorrhea. Go for it, guys.
And I listen. It's no holds barred. So me and Gary get to make them cry. I think that's.
Dustin, I think you forgot who approves
that's what
these.
We're going next.
Dana,
I think you forgot who approves these thumbnails because the thumbnail is going to be why women are better than men. What, Jay? What are you saying?
The day you have that debate, I'm sick. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
I did. By the way, I saw Maria comment. She's a divorce attorney, Jen. I think it would be really interesting because the one thing that I said it half jokingly, although I think that'd be a hilarious debate. Which is this perspective of men and women are really, really different on this. Which is the role, and it's ignorant. It's so ignorant to imagine that the perspectives are anything even similar to each other. Like the role of the mother and the role of the father and the role of men and the role of women. And so it would be really interesting to get the female's perspective on when having kids is, because I think it is so different. So like,
send me a message, guys. Let me know if you want to come on the next debate. We'll redo it with some women.
Yeah,
guys, thank you very much, guys.
That'll be great.
Thank you.
This has been really good for me. It's made me really think about a lot of different angles on this. It's and hopefully it's helped the audience. I think, you know, we do so much financial stuff. I personally get bored with it after a while. And no matter how much you get your finances sorted out, you still have to deal with these very, very complex living experiences. If you live long enough, man, you will be confronted with something will rip your entire soul out of your body and make you look at it if you live long enough. And if you don't, you probably leave some little gift for somebody else to uncover. So that's been my experience. And no one's escaping looking at themselves. And all these decisions are so complicated, really. They are so complicated. They're not easy. Yeah, they're not easy. And our world is just changing so radically, so fast. I don't know. If I was a young man now, I don't really know what I would be doing. I'd probably be looking for an older woman, actually. Funny how that works. I'd probably be looking 10 years. See, that wouldn't be good for me because I didn't need another woman in my life. I needed to learn how to be a man. And me just hooking up with another girl at 20 when I just left my mom, I haven't really moved from mommy to me. And I'm still just constantly slamming into, you know, a little girl that's makes me feel comfy. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like when you're around a woman, notice how a guy's voice changes on spaces when he's talking to a woman.
Yeah.
Like every guy I've ever met has mommy issues. 1,000%. 1,000%. Every guy I know. And so there's so much, like, if you really want to have children and think about what you're doing, you probably should spend a few years in therapy to figure out how the hell you got there. Because I'm giving my children what was given to me. That's all I have, man. Okay, I can read a book, but I'm going to give them what was given to me through all these memories. Oh, this is how you deal with this situation. This is how you deal with this situation. So I was so ill prepared. To Dustin's point, ain't nobody going to be prepared for any of this. Trump wasn't prepared to walk into the presidency the first, second, or third time. I'm not prepared for divorce. I'm not prepared for babies. I'm not prepared to be a billionaire. I'm not prepared to be broke. I have to learn how to do all this stuff. And to think that I can, hey, man plans and God laughs his ass off. I think that's going to be my quote. Eric, I'm going to rip it off from me. I think that's awesome. I'll be quiet now.
Garrett, I love, so collecting memories, going on adventures. Like, one thing I have never regretted is I've always had an overly adventurous spirit. I've always pushed the limits. So you're right. You should do things that find you in a place where you are unprepared. Otherwise, you are living like a completely cut off life from all of the magic that's been given. Like, the blessing of being alive and in this world is in your ability to go have adventures and create memories, and you're not getting it from your screen. Go do shit in real life.
Amen.
Dustin, does that mean it's Tuesday and Gary gets to go out and just hammer everything he sees? Or
I mean,
it'd be a good adventure. It's 6:30. I have dinner in 30 minutes. I don't know. I was just saying.
I mean,
Your Honor, Dustin Stockman told me to go have adventures. It's live, streamlined. They all agreed it was the right thing to do. Even a woman was going, yeah, go hammer it.
Like, Dustin told me it was okay. Like, well, what is this? Oh, Dustin didn't tell you that he also, like, believes in not asking for the crown for permission. Oh, if it pleases the crown, I would like to go fishing, sir. If it pleases the crown, may I go on a trip here?
Yeah, it's a free country, Dustin. We all have the licenses to prove it, right?
Well, Jay right now is doing the whole like, ooh, look at that money. Like, I got lawyers see me and they're like, cha-ching.
Thanks for showing up, guys. Remember to reshare. Really awesome, guys. Thanks for coming. Follow all of these guys who are up here. They're super people. And send me a message if you want to join the next debate. Send us some topics. We're also going to vote on Gary's Twitter, his X, on who won this debate.
Yeah, give us some comments too. You know, give us comments what you thought. But the topics, okay. Sorry, Dana, to interrupt you, but when you guys send us topics, think through, like, this topic is interesting, right? But there's no answer to this, and so it's a topic. You know, like self-custody. Do I self-custody? Do I use exchanges? Or, you know, is school good or is it bad? You know, I mean, just think about the topic you throw to us, because sometimes the topic doesn't have enough definition. You know, is Gary Cardone smarter than Grant Cardone? I mean, it's just like whack. You can literally fit two
Very
guys.
Specific.
And then you can be argumentative. This conversation, it's not a debate, it's a conversation. And I think that's good. I think the conversation is cool, but people are going to enjoy debates.
We've struggled with that because the truth of the matter is it's really hard to get black and white. Like, almost every single discussion we've had we get into the nuance because we think. Yeah. And to be honest, I think I don't care if we're not appealing to the largest possible crowd. Like, I'm not trying to do these to talk to the lowest common denominator. I appreciate that we're having discussions that it's not like, I have my line and I'm going to repeat the same 10 talking points just very passionately that everybody else talks about. I'm sick of that. Right. I really appreciate when we have nuanced discussion because nothing's ever as black and white as they're trying to portray it to us. So, like, maybe that means that we don't grow as fast as some of the 2D characters who love to argue. But I'm cool with that. I'd rather like find all of the super geniuses that make up our audience, and like let all the idiots go argue amongst each other. Like, don't worry, the adults will have our.
Yeah,
our
but
debate over
Dustin,
here.
I think, I mean, unless the audience tells us otherwise, there's going to be 4,000 people saw this show at some point. This is the shows I do at 8 a.m. Eric's on it all the time. There's 4,000 people in there, and I'm not sure they're all real people. This show, like, we do no advertising, man. This is the third or fourth show. No one is on this platform. This is going to be, I wish Elon would actually say, hey, we have a bunch of bots and this is how many human beings are here. But my hope is this thing is very early days. I think this is awesome information, education, the education value, just to have someone think instead of, we're in spaces and we're screaming at each other. We're actually thinking about, hey, wow, what's it like for an 18-year-old kid to think about having a baby? Nobody's thinking about that shit. If they are, they should be stopped from thinking like, whoa, dude, who told you were just a baby manufacturer? You got more to you than that. And you better have more than my mother had grit, dude. She wasn't prepared to lose her dad, her husband. 3 kids, 42 years old, man. 3 boys, 15 and 10. No money. Okay. And 3 like me. Fucking crazy people. Crazy kids.
Another thing about the
and
top.
the best thing she did was she actually did something that everybody would have blamed her for, which is kick us out of the house. That's the kind of parents we need. To me, I've probably been too soft on my kids. But they know. My hope is I never had to do it because they knew that motherfucker will just destroy me. They knew that because they'd seen it. I remember touching one of my daughters one day, and she kept saying, hey, you're not so hot. And I'm like, oh, really? It took one time. And anyway, it's this was probably funner for me than the other debates we did. Not funner, but more thoughtful.
It was great. No, and I really appreciate everybody, like Eric, Jay, even Gary. You guys all had great contributions tonight.
Yeah. Thank you, Dana.
Even Gary.
Cheney, thank you.
Cheney's behind the scenes, Project Cheney. Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you.
Y'all did a great job.
You guys
Make
are
sure
awesome.
you hit the notification so you know when Gary goes live. And we'll see you guys at the next debate next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you, guys.
Do we have a
thanks
topic?
for having me, guys.
You don't know, huh? You don't know yet if you have a topic. All right.